Hello team, welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pierce. Ukraine War news updates, a kind of appendix to my hits and losses video earlier where I didn't include Andrew Perpetua loss list because he didn't have one out for yesterday, but he did release one yesterday. If you remember, I've not shared with you an Andrew Perpetua loss list for about 4 days now because he hasn't produced one. And then he produced this one, which is a summary of 4 days worth of losses. So we're just going to go through this because I like to go through these lists. They give us a sense of what is being lost on the front lines. And as you can see, wow. But what he says here is fascinating. So over the past 4 days, we've recovered 452 total losses. So they've found 452 total losses. There are not 452 here. So here are 201 of the most notable losses. As you'll see, when you get down to here, it goes from trucks. Normally you'd have a massive load of grey of civilian vehicles. I'm assuming there will be loads, motorcycles, buggies. There's probably, we are missing 250 vehicles. 250 pieces of equipment are missing from this list, because he's only going for the most notable ones. So I think he's taken out surveillance and comms, and he's taken out civilian equipment. But he's included civilian equipment down there, but in terms of the civilian-driven equipment, as you can see. So, goodness me, this is a massive, massive list of kit, and you can see that it is, overall, we're talking predominantly, this is combat asset losses. These are combat asset losses. So that is 5-1 Russian to Ukrainian losses. These are staggering losses for the Russians here, and not staggering losses for the Ukrainians. For that to be 4 days of losses, I think the Ukrainians have done a pretty good job here. Can I make this big enough to see? Sort of. What I might do is actually go to the original document. I wonder if that's going to tell us anything else, because it might be easier to see. Here we go. Right, this is the loss list. I don't know if this is going to have the other stuff on it. No, that's good. This is exactly as that list was. So he's included some of the civilian vehicles, but not the civilian vehicles that both sides use militarily. So your SUVs, your motorbikes and whatnot. Okay, so the Ukrainian losses, we're going to start up in the a bit of electronic warfare, stuff taken out, a NOTA system. I wonder what NOTA, let's have a look at that. NOTA EW Ukraine, and we'll see what this looks like. Here we go, electronic warfare systems. I presume NOTA is going to be here somewhere. Control F, NOTA. There we go. So the frequent use of drones by Russian-backed rebels in the Donbass was the driver behind the development of the NOTA electronic warfare system. It's designed to provide perimeter protection, detecting and jamming drones at a maximum range of 20 kilometers. The system has the ability to jam cellular communications within 1 kilometer, intended to operate predominantly in a silent and stealth mode, and only detects its jamming function upon the detection of a threat. In addition to its counter-drone aerial drone role, NOTA also provides direction finding capabilities to detect Russian signals, GSM, VHF, LTE and CDMA, radar emission on the LSC and X frequency bands, and GPS, GLONASS and Beidou satellite systems. So there you go. There's a mobile version of NOTA that enables a crew to move quickly, move the system to a new position. And I guess that's what, I don't know if that's NOTA there. I'd quite like to see what a picture of that might be. I don't know if we've got any images here. Oh, that could be it. It says a US one though. Anyway, you get the idea. It could well be that they all look similar, so it might be something that looks a little bit like that. Anyway, that's possibly is the NOTA system. Right, we'll then go on to artillery. We have an AS-90 or a Crab. They're quite difficult to tell apart, especially from satellite imagery from a distance. One of those is damaged, but other than that, a few artillery pieces destroyed and a couple more damaged. Tanks, there's only 3 there, so for 4 days, 3 tanks is pretty good. for the Ukrainians. 2 destroyed, 1 damaged. There are only 264s, 264 BVs. I mean, they are, I think, possibly recent iterations of the T-64, and they are decent enough, but they're not like, say, the Leopard 2 or something like that. Infantry fighting vehicles, we've got about 10, including an abandoned Bradley, an abandoned CV-9040, and a destroyed CV-9040. So that's bad news there. We've got a destroyed Bradley, 2 destroyed Marders. So some of this, although the Marder isn't like the newest piece of kit, and neither is the Bradley actually. CV-90 is. Those will be hard to take as losses. First of all, this is what they're using as their kind of main infantry fighting vehicles now. It appears these kind of Western provided ones rather than the BMPs. Yes, there are still BMPs and they will still lose them, as we can see here. There are 3 in this list, but you're seeing more and more Western stuff, so you are going to see those losses. They're not magical. You're not going to not see CV-90s get taken out. We've got an M11117. That's an armored fighting vehicle. That's one of the, if I show you what that looks like, 1117. That is this old school armored vehicle where actually they're receiving a whole bunch of these now, aren't they? One of the recent packages included a vast number of them, so I'd expect to see more and more of those on the loss list going forward. We are seeing more VABs. These are French provided armored personnel carriers, so interesting that we've got 5 captured vehicles here, and that's got to be a record from what I've seen, but of course that's 4 days. So we've got Max Pro, Cougar and Avata, so a mixture of American and I think the Avata is indigenously produced mine resistant ambush protection vehicle. And then we've got a captured VAB as well. M113s, abandoned here, Senator, M113, FV432, that's a British provided one. We've got Striker, Humvee, VAB, Senator, all destroyed there. All of these destroyed, abandoned or captured, 100% the MRAPs and APCs, and IFVs. So that is a bad ratio of, well, there are no destroyed. So it's, the ratio is not a ratio, it's 100%. There are 0 damaged vehicles here. So that's a shame for the Ukrainians. And virtually all of these, in fact, 100% of these are Western provided or indigenously made APCs and MRAPs. They aren't all like all singing, all dancing, like M113s are pretty old. But yeah, we're in a stage where the Ukrainians are using a lot more Western supplied equipment. Okay. So it's not bad, like in terms of like numbers, overall number of equipment, that's not bad for the Ukrainians. Really, they haven't lost a lot over 4 days, and the Russians have. And the other thing to look out for here is we just talked about how the ratio is bad for the Ukrainians here. Like 100% of what they lost was damaged or destroyed. Sorry, it was destroyed or abandoned or captured. So they're irretrievable, basically. They're not non-recoverable. The Russians, exactly the same. Look at how many more vehicles they have listed here, and 100% of them are destroyed or abandoned. So I wonder whether what they've done is ignored all the ones that are damaged, maybe. I don't know. That could be an option as well. So we're not missing 250 civilian vehicles and maybe trucks and stuff, and ATVs, but actually all the damaged, all those ledger entered vehicles that are damaged. I can't get my words out. You know what I mean. Right, air defense unit on here, Book 3, that was seen destroyed by Cassandra, and that was on the socials that I almost shared that with you but didn't. Electronic warfare system, an R934B Sinitsa. We have a command and control vehicle, Kamaz KSHM, and we have a radar Yastreb. That's $200 million worth of kit, that Yastreb. So I showed you that the other day. We've got 2 engineering vehicles as well, and then quite a lot of artillery, including some M46s. So some really old howitzers. We are seeing more of these added to the list which I think suggests that the Russians really are running low on artillery, that they are bringing out from deep stockpiles some of the very oldest things that they possibly can. Got BM-21 Grad that's been destroyed as well, and NTLB with an RBU 6000. Those are they like anti-submarine rocket launchers, whatever they are, the naval rocket launchers that they're whacking on top of the MTLBs. So that one's been destroyed, and the Grad being destroyed is good news for Ukraine. So quite a bit of artillery there, a lot of it fairly old. The MT-12 Rapira anti-tank guns, I think they're not exactly new. And then we get onto tanks, and wow, there is a lot of there are a lot of tanks here. Okay, what do we have? We have all the tanks. We do have a T-90M there thrown in for good measure. So a destroyed T-90M, that's the most recent tank. And we have some track garden sheds, a lot of T-80 BVs and BVMs, T-72s, T-62s, and then other tanks. So, yeah, wow. There's a lot of tanks taken out. And then infantry fighting vehicles, just goodness me. So that goes from 124 to 124 from 62. My goodness, that's 62 infantry fighting vehicles. How many tanks? 32 to 61. So that's 30, that's 29 tanks. So if you're talking 29 tanks over 4 days, that is pretty much 8 a day, 7. That is almost, well, actually, we did have a day of 24 odd tanks, didn't we? Let's have a look at this then. Because that's pretty good statistics. And if there are damaged tanks to throw onto these lists as well, I don't know, but that would make it even more impressive. So we go to the data for Dell's loss list and we look at tanks over the last few days. We have 9, 8, so tanks is there. We have 9, 8, 24, 12. So over the last 4 days, I guess we should take out today and go 4 days before that. So 8, 24, 12, 8. So that's 16, that's 40, that's 52. 52 tanks have been claimed to have been taken out by Ukraine in those 4 days. And we have 30 tanks here. That is and we might have more damaged. This is a much closer, visually confirmed to Ukrainian general general staff claims. That's 29 to 52 is not as big a gap as we see. That is really significant. And my goodness, when you've got 60 odd infantry fighting vehicles, although to be fair, when you look at the general staff, they do the general staff figures. There is a lot of APV. So we got 64 just in 1 day there, and then 24, 39, and 19 to throw in as well. But again, I think the gap between visually confirmed and claimed is smaller. Just phenomenal numbers here. BMP2s, 3s, BTRs, all the usual suspects being taken out by a lot unknown causes, a lot ATGM, well, not a lot of them, there's one ATGM, and obviously drones are going to be largely responsible, but there could be a lot of mines, and then being disabled, and then people abandon them, and then they get hit by drones, or they're just abandoned. So mines, I think, are doing a lot of work, particularly as well because mines are being dropped by drones now. In different shaped mines, we're getting all sorts of different mines being dropped, not just the TM62 anti-tank mines, those round ones. We're getting these rectangular prism ones that are being dropped, what are they called, PRM or whatever. Different types of mines are being dropped, and I think you're going to see a lot of vehicles fall foul of mines, not just from the ones launched by artillery and spreading out those ram shells that spread out like 19 mines or whatever it is as they explode in the air and spread mines on these areas, but drones are playing a part. Gonked by Leopard, so that's that Leopard tank that took out a couple of pieces of equipment, doing a really good job there, and I referenced that footage yesterday. And when we come to APCs, there's about 11 APCs here, all of them abandoned or destroyed. BTRs, MTLBs, BRDMs, etc., track guns, sheds, all the usual culprits, and then some trucks listed as well. Captured truck, interesting. Not as many as we normally see, but I imagine there's probably a lot of damaged trucks and whatnot that aren't listed here. So just a phenomenal number of pieces of equipment. This has been a bad 4 days for Russia. I don't think there's any way that you could deny that. It'd be interesting to see what's not on the list and what the ratios are from one side to the other of what's not on the list. But that is an absolutely phenomenal list of equipment. And again, the question becomes like, what is going on here? Like, how long can the Russians keep doing this? How long can they keep taking things from deep storage and throwing them onto the front? How long can they keep these mechanized assaults going? Because these losses are surely unsustainable. And again, like, I refer you to the use of M46s. Just to remind you what an M46 is. M46 howitzer. And these are pretty old bits of kit. 130mm towed field howitzer, M46. And this is, I mean, that's one of the famous pictures we keep seeing of the M46. It's actually got pretty good range compared to some of the other howitzers they've been using. It's older, but it's got a pretty decent range. But it's the fact that you're having to go back and get howitzers from 1946. You know, M46, 1946 to 1950. They were designed. Then started to be produced in 1951. And that's what they're using. It's just incredible. But yeah, I think it's, as I said in my previous video, abductive reason. Which pot would you put it in? Using these howitzers, is that indicative of an army and a country that's on top of it? Things are going well. They're producing stuff they need to, or is that a sign of sort of desperation and scraping the barrel? And there are options in between, but essentially, that's going to favour scraping the barrel. It just is. How long can they scrape the barrel? Anyway, that's enough from me. Hopefully that was of use and interest to you. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your support. Take care, and I will speak to you soon. Toodle pips.